Hello and welcome to the Decode Strategy live stream events. And we have a very, very special guest today. I think I wouldn't call him a guest, I would call him a friend. Sashi and I, we go back many, many years. And when I was new in Singapore, he is one of the first people that I truly connected with. And he's been a companion, a guide in many ways, and probably the best bouncing board that I've had over the years. So before I hand over the reins to Sashi, just a couple of things that I wanted to tell you about this event, my company, and all of that. So I am the founder and the chief consultant at Decode Strategy Labs. Decode Strategy Labs is a marketing consultancy and education company. I also run a YouTube channel. The details are being live streamed. This event is being live streamed on YouTube as well, and uh, if you want to throw any questions that you might have during the conversation or while Sashi is presenting, just drop them in the comment section below the live stream, and that will be good enough to for him to respond to. I also provide a course on marketing strategy, and this is a course which I have developed where I have put in like 15 years of my experience working very closely with a lot of marketers with different brands, CMOs, heads of marketing, brand teams, and all of that. So that is also available on the website. So if you want, you can find the details in the event description. And yeah, I will post the link to the recordings of the video in the event page as well. So if you happen to miss out this event live, then you can always watch it later. And yeah, follow the Decode Strategy Labs LinkedIn page so that you can be updated about all future events. So on that note, let me introduce Sashi. Sashi is a senior strategist from New York. He works with Havas Sports and Entertainment, a very, very close friend. And I have known him as a gamer, and it just happened to be an accidental chat that we were having about gaming, and that kind of led to the beginning of this entire stream and this topic that we are going to talk about today. So over to you, Sashi. Why don't you talk about your gamer side first before you jump into the presentation for today?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, wherever you are in the world, and cheers to the weekend. It's night over here, so don't judge me. Well, thank you, Rahul, for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Like Rahul said, he's a dear friend of mine and a desk neighbor of mine in a previous life. So it's an absolute thrill to make an appearance on his thriving channel. I'm Sashi, and I'm based in New York. So hence why you can see it's pretty dark out there. It's actually midnight right now. And I've been in strategy for a decade now. And did the whole tour of duty around the traditional and digital advertising agencies. And for the past couple of years, I've been leading strategy for Havas Sports and Entertainment. It's somewhat similar to what I've been doing in previous roles, although the outputs of the strategic work is focused around passions. So you're looking around different types of sports, music, and of course, gaming, and really helping brands like the Coca-Cola company, Accor, Progressive, Courvoisier, and Fidelity use those passion points as a shortcut to create meaningful connections with fans. And like Rahul mentioned, I've been playing video games since I was 5. Got my first taste of Super Mario on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Had my fair share of blowing a lot into cartridges, broken a controller or two, accumulated a few battle scars in the form of like thumb blisters. I would say I'm a Nintendo dork. I love anything and all things Nintendo, but I've never thought of myself as a gamer. That is until stepping into this world of sports and entertainment. And over the past couple of years, I've been advising brands on why they should, pay attention to the space, why its audience, the gaming audience, matter, and the opportunities available in the space. And along the way, I've kind of picked up several tidbits to make gaming a lot less alien and intimidating, as well as looking at ways to kind of look at the space a little bit differently.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's hear about gaming from the gamer himself. Over to you, Sashi.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna share my screen. All right, I'm assuming this works.
Yes, 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 it's visible.
Perfect. So the thing about gaming is, oh, sorry, just a few questions we'll address along the way of the presentation. You know, the why gaming is such a big deal and why we should pay attention to it. Who are the players? Who are the gamers? What do we know about them? What do they like? What are sort of the different opportunities available for brands within the space itself? And hopefully, how can you, working along, you know, as a practitioner, as you know, brand people or as marketers, how can you game it to use it to your advantage? So the thing about gaming is it's not this new thing that magically appeared out of nowhere, right? It's not this thing that suddenly gained traction. They have always mattered and they've been played for a long time now. You might remember playing Tetris on your Game Boy back in the day. And when broadband came around, you probably had a few rounds of Counter-Strike with your friends, you know, over the internet or in internet cafes. And now with, you know, the advent and the popularity of live stream and the money being pumped into something like esports, gaming looks something like a spectacle like this. What was once a rather niche passion of the few have become this global phenomenon that is now part of the cultural zeitgeist. Games are being turned into blockbuster movies, into TV shows. They're dominating headlines, whether it's tech publications or mainstream publication. Music is a huge deal within gaming. We're seeing best-selling novels centered around video games. And of course, you know, as we've seen from the last Super Bowl, you know, there's dedicated commercials on Super Bowls dedicated to gaming culture. And of course, the tropes, the celebrations are, you know, celebrated on the world stage like the World Cup. So it's no surprise that gaming is actually now the #1 form of entertainment in the world. The money garnered by the video game industry is actually larger than movies and music. So it's a huge deal. And you've probably seen the avalanche of news around gaming during the pandemic. Gaming has become this sort of light for many people in these dark times. And the past year has really ignited the gaming fire in a lot of us. You look at games like Animal Crossing, you know, it's actually provided an outlet for escape and connection for people you can't meet in real life. And we can expect a lot of these behaviors to continue once we're safely across the other side of this pandemic. And when you typically hear about gaming or the growth of gaming, it's not just the games that are flying off the shelves. Yeah, you know, games are popular, but it's not just that. People are spending more in the complete experience. So they're pouring in money in the whole 9 yards at home. So you're looking at speakers, monitors, controllers, chairs, really expensive investments to really enhance the gaming experience. Live streaming has gone absolute gangbusters, right? The appetite for live streaming is bigger than ever. 12 billion more content was watched in 2020. Viewership numbers doubled. And streamers across platforms like Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook gaming broadcasted a total of 960 million hours of content. So some huge numbers that we should definitely pay attention to as signs of changing media behaviors. And maybe if those slides or those numbers didn't exactly blow your mind, perhaps these next couple of slides will. Obviously, being a Nintendo dork, I've got to find a way to bring Mario into a gaming presentation. So, fun fact, Mario's last name is actually Mario. So he's actually known as Mario. And his brother is known as Luigi Mario. Kind of weird, but kind of cute. In Korea, one of the biggest gaming community out there, they actually have this law called the Cinderella Law, which actually forbids kids under the age of 16 to play online video games after midnight. One of the biggest esports tournaments in the world in terms of the prize pool, right? It's called the International Dota 2 tournament. They actually gave out $16 million to the winning team. And just to put a little context to that, when Djokovic won Wimbledon in 2019, I believe he only got like $3 million. So just to put in context how much money there is within gaming. We know that Minecraft is huge. Your kids probably play it. You probably play it. You've probably seen toys at the department store. But how big is Minecraft? So the world, the land, the surface area created in Minecraft is actually 9.2 million times larger than Earth. That's staggering, mind-boggling numbers that we're seeing from a game like Minecraft. And of course, one of the most expensive video games ever made was Grand Theft Auto 5. It cost a total of $256 million. And just to put things into context, the first Avenger film cost $220 million. So producing a video game, a hit video game, is actually much more expensive than a Marvel movie. So from this huge, huge universe, let's dive in and look a little at the players, the gamers that are part of this world. Now, when I mention gamer, close your eyes for a second. What's the image that pops into mind when I say a gamer? If it's this, you're probably not the only one, right? Not long ago, this was the stereotype of what a gamer is. You imagine Cheetos dusted T-shirt, a huge soft drink at the side, never leaving the basement for days on end. But that's no longer the case because there are now 2.7 billion gamers around the world. Huge numbers, right? There are more gamers than Facebook users. It's a much larger fan base than basketball or tennis or cricket. And you might be thinking, wait, hold on. 2.7 billion gamers? Are you kidding me? But think about it, right? The group of friends that gather together to play Overcooked on a Friday night, that's a gamer. The person playing Candy Crush on the subway, that's a gamer. The teen playing FIFA after school, that's a gamer. The colleague that blowing off steam after work with a few rounds of Call of Duty, that's a gamer. So if you ask any one of them, if they ever consider themselves to be gamers, the answer is probably no. But video games have become an integral part of their everyday lives. They generally tend to be young, right? 61% of them are below the age of 35. And this is important because this is a generation of ad skippers, of ad blockers, of cord cutters, people that are generally harder to reach via traditional means of advertising and communication. Gaming is not just a passing phase. It's a passion that they're highly, highly engaged with. 57% play more than 6 hours a week. And of course, it appeals to both the female and male demographics. It's not just for the boys. The profiling of gamers has also evolved and improved over the years. Now with more data available, we're able to dimensionalize the different types of gamers out there. So we're not pigeonholing anyone to being one, standard type of gamer. You have the ultimate gamer who believes that gaming is all that he lives for. You have the conventional player, someone who doesn't play much, he doesn't invest much in esports, but they plenty of hardware, and they'd rather be playing by themselves. You also have the popcorn gamer, which is a new category that's emerging. Someone who doesn't play the video games but enjoy watching other people play, whether it's the form of enjoying the mastery that's being shown or the competitiveness that's being shown. And of course, like the Candy Crushers, you have the time filler, people who play games to simply pass the time. There are multiple modes of engagement these days, right? When you look at gaming, it's no longer just confined to your Nintendo, right? You're playing it across your mobile or your tablet, you're playing it on your PC, and you're playing it on your console. And there's a huge range of different types of genres of games, right? Whenever I talk to clients, I'm like, I want to get into gaming, I want to get into Fortnite. Fortnite is not the only game out there. There's FIFA, there's Street Fighter, there's racing games, there's action adventure games. There's so many different sets of consideration. And the way they engage with it, the way they engage with their passion has also changed. Yes, you still have that actual act of playing, with your PC or your console or your mobile, but now you also watch other people play on Twitch or consume gaming content on YouTube. And there's also this huge momentum towards in real life occasions where you attend esports tournaments, conventions, and viewing parties. So from a media perspective, gaming really offers marketers a myriad of different touch points, depending on what your objectives are. So let's say if you look at the bottom layer, you could target the everyday moments if the name of your game is frequency, to get as many eyeballs on your brand and for your message to be heard by as many people as possible. But gaming offers you that skill to kind of level up and pivot to something much more important, like recruitment or building brand love through epic moments like an esports final or convention. The medium is wide and flexible enough to be tailored accordingly to what your brands and business goals are. So with 23 slides in, at this point, you must be wondering, like, what the hell is he on? Like, I wonder what's in this cup that he's drinking from. And all of this sound completely Greek to me. And that's absolutely fine, honestly, because that's usually the response I get from a lot of marketers who are not gamers, right? You look at the scale, you look at the different touch points, and you'd be like, whoa, what do I do now, right? So for many marketers, because of the lack of experience playing with these games or being a gamer, means that gaming often becomes this overwhelming and unfamiliar prospect. And when faced with this, the natural assumption is to target only game playing moments, because that's where, like, it makes sense, right? I'm right in the thick of action. I'm engaging with a passion. So that's where my brand needs to be. Which makes a ton of sense for brands who already have like a natural role and intrinsic link to the space itself. And they're able to use gaming as a way to genuinely demonstrate the role of their products or their message. So I'm looking at, like, you know, hardware developers, screen manufacturer, internet providers, what we call endemic brands within the space. And there are a few stellar examples. Lenovo's message was all about gaming is for everyone. So they actually formed a Counter-Strike team comprised of elderly folks to participate in global esports tournaments. So once again, reinforcing the message that gaming is for everyone, regardless of age. Microsoft, through obviously creative Xbox, they created this adaptive controller, a device designed to help people with disabilities play. And IBM recently inked a deal with the Overwatch League to provide their Watson services, so cloud and AI tech, to actually power the league's analytical and interactive content. But what about non-endemic brands, right? Brands like food, brands like beverage, a soda company, clothing, fashion, travel. Does that mean that they don't have a role within gaming? What we found out is, like, for a lot of non-endemic brands, marketers tend to spend a buttload of money trying to force their brand into game playing. And the example you see in the background is an integration of Monster energy drinks into a game called Death Stranding. And in case you were wondering, yes, that's Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. So the thing with Monster is it has a lot of legacy equity within the gaming community, right? And you might argue that it is an endemic brand, but even they are prone to the occasional faux pas, right? So just imagine you're playing this game, Death Stranding. It is a game set in a post-apocalyptic world where everything's bleak and dire. The world has gone completely tits up. But yet in the midst of it all, in the midst of all this anomaly, are cans of Monster energy drinks that you can consume to boost your life. Like, come on. Integration into play can often lead to a lack of clear role for brands. So this is an example with Final Fantasy VII. So Final Fantasy VII Remake was probably one of the most talked about game releases for like 2 decades. It is, after all, a modern take on one of the most popular games of all time. So Butterfinger, a snack, kind of like Snickers, they had a partnership with the game, and giving the brand access to the characters and the IPs that is so fondly remembered and beloved by the gaming community. And yet it kind of relegated its own role to simple unlocking of trivial content like wallpaper and skin that has no connection to the game, no connection to the brand or the fans or the content. And most of the time, integration can often lead to the lowest common form of communication, logo slaps. Find an asset, find a gaming asset, slap a logo on it, done. Hardly meaningful and rather parasitic if you think about it. But all's not lost. There is another way to reach gamers, one that opens up a whole different perspective and a whole new world of opportunities. Because gaming has evolved. Gaming is no longer just about playing. Gaming is, in fact, a culture. Gaming is not a single spoke on the wheel. It is the wheel, right? It's an identity that has found its way to different aspects of everyday life. It has become culture. So for marketers trying to understand how to get into the space, the first step is really changing the perception that a gamer stops being a gamer the minute he or she puts the controller down. I'm sure I've had my fair share of rage quits like that. But yeah, that's the fundamental thought of changing perception, that gamers, it's not like gamers stop being gamers when they step away from the controllers. Let's start with sports. And this was made even more apparent in the last year where we saw a younger generation of pro athletes taking to Twitch. You're seeing people like Lando Norris, F1 driver, Paul Pogba, Dele Alli, Baker Mayfield, Paul George, right? They're gamers and they're not afraid to let the world know that they're gamers. And they all have huge numbers of followings in their Twitch channel. And so during the free time, especially during the pandemic, they're all taking to Twitch and showcasing a different side of them you never saw before. Gaming also has a huge influence in the, fashion and hypebeast culture. Gaming merch drops are now on par with the Yeezys and the Supremes of the world. So 100 Thieves, the one you can see in the background over there, it's a gaming lifestyle organization. They actually started out as an esports team, but have built substantial clout in the fashion world over the past couple of years. The merch releases are now one of the most highly anticipated drops of the year. And just to put things into context, $500,000 worth of their goods were sold out in 5 minutes. And that's just the drops. The resale value of these items are sold for crazy money on sites like StockX. Gaming has also completely transformed how music is enjoyed. I'm sure you've read about this. You've probably seen this or heard someone talk about this, but Travis Scott's virtual concerts in Fortnite that stretch across time zones and geographies had over 28 million people bear witness to a phenomenal 10-minute spectacle. And what's more interesting is also from the perspective of the artist, because Travis actually pocketed, a cool $20 million from that series of performance in the game, right? So he doesn't have to travel around the world and host like hundreds and thousands of shows. He can just do it via Fortnite and still get $20 million. I'm just gonna have a sip here for a bit. And gamers are always hungry for content, right? Just look at the number of members in the gaming subreddit on Reddit, right? Where they're actively sharing memes, they're sharing videos, articles, and GIFs. And speaking of Reddit, we all know what went down with Wall Street Bets, GameStop, and the US stock market. I think this is a true testament that gamers are not all about just video games. Like everyone else, they do care about the things around them. And most importantly, they have the ability to mobilize an entire community to get behind, a cause. No surprises here, but gamers would travel thousands of miles to meet and share the worlds they love, the in-game worlds they love in real life. So shameless plug over here, but this was something I worked on with Coke in 2019. So Coke actually has a partnership with Overwatch, which is a hugely popular team-based first-person shooter game by Blizzard. So naturally, a brand like Coke was like, how do we insert ourselves into a game like Overwatch? Well, you don't. It has no place in the game, no ties to the lores, no connections to the character. And remember the monster example? Yep, that's how you end up looking if you really want to force yourself into a game. So what we did was actually carve an opportunity for Coke to show up in the real world by recreating a popular destination in the game called the Panorama Diner and brought it to life at BlizzCon. BlizzCon is like Blizzard's version of Comic-Con. So it's a huge deal in the gaming community. Thousands of people attend and, close to millions watch around the world, and actually recreated this at BlizzCon. The Panorama Diner's Americana aesthetics and setting was the perfect foil for Coke. And every detail in this real life experience was exactly how it looked like in the game. We took this opportunity to invite and welcome fans who have spent thousands of hours in this location in the game to finally step into an experience in the real world. Jeff Kaplan, who's the creator of Overwatch, actually had a chance to visit this Panorama Diner, and he told us that the experience was exactly how he envisioned in his mind when he was coming out with it. And the last spoke on the wheel is cause, right? The gaming community is not perfect, and they know it. Right, there's diversity issues, there's harassment culture that has plagued the community for so many years. And so gamers lean in a lot on developers, leagues, and brands to do better and set example for the rest of the community to follow. So this is a great example of how Bumble, who wanted to advance its mission and message around promoting gender equality and diversity in culture, and they picked the perfect medium for it by sponsoring an all-female esports team to compete in Fortnite tournaments. So yes, gaming is a culture. It's not just about the games. Its tentacles have reached different aspects of life. And the great thing is there's actually a term in gaming that means not playing. And for those of y'all old enough to remember, you might remember this acronym for your ICQ days, which is called away from keyboard, or AFK. Not only is it a verb that is used in gaming, but it perfectly captures the sentiment of what happens when gamers sign off or step away from the game. It does not mean that they become a completely different person. It just signifies to their mates or their friends that, hey, I'm just going to do a bunch of stuff, go on a date, go to the gym, head to work, do a grocery run, but I'm still going to come back to my passion. And also, the other way to kind of look at it is it encourages brands or the people I talk to broaden their perception about the space and really take a moment to step away from that play occasion, to break away and not equate gaming to just the playing occasion, and therefore find different ways that are complementary to their message and their objective. The thing is, like I said, gamers live regular day lives and do regular everyday things, but with a gamer twist. And this is what I truly believe is how non-endemics can actually resonate with gamers, not just through the act of playing, but through culture. And on that note, GG, which is good game, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Sashi. Lots of interesting examples, lots of very, very important myths that exist around gaming that you have tried to break down. At this point, I would want to encourage anyone who's watching the streaming live, drop your questions in the comment section below. I've got a couple of questions for Sashi myself. So probably I'm the first one to start off with.
Oh dear, here we go.
But before I begin, I am really curious, what exactly is that cocktail, that reddish, interesting looking cocktail that you're drinking?
It's actually Aperol with Prosecco. Yeah.
Okay. Is that also something that gamers do, or is that your own creation?
I think this is what Sashi would do.
Okay. So Sashi, the first thing I've been thinking about is, this presentation was really important to know, because we tend to have a fixed perception, or rather I would call them myths, as to how gamers are, as to how association, how can brands who want to associate with the gaming world, the gaming culture as you call it, how is it that they can go about doing it and things like that. But I think if you can help me with one or two more examples, and I want to ask you about, if you think of a brand who's done a collaboration with some part of the gaming culture, and you thought of it that you thought of the brand as probably having done probably the best work that you've come across in terms of collaborating with either gamers or the gaming world or the games itself. What is that one example that really, really captured your attention and almost made you jealous that I wish I had done it? Or if there's more than one, please feel free to talk about more than one.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think one of the things I keep referring to is basically the stuff that Wendy's does, out of Kansas, and they've been really good at not going too deep into the game itself, but looking at it from a cultural perspective. So, case in point that did really well in Cannes a couple of years ago was, the whole Wendy's keeping Fortnite fresh example.
Correct.
Right. So, look, they know they're not going to pay $1 million to have their brand embedded into a hot game like Fortnite, right? It's never going to happen. And not only is it going to cost a lot of money, it's going to cost a lot of development time as well. Like, ain't no developer's going to develop hey, have a Wendy's here, right? So what they did was really smart, right? Because they took what was available in the game and sort of hacked it in a way to make it appropriate for what they want to push. So just so happened that one particular season of Fortnite was team pizza versus team burgers, right? And what they realized is on team burgers, the patties were stored in freezers, and Wendy's does not believe in freezers. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
basically just live stream a character that looked like so they built a character in Fortnite, which is totally doable because it's customizable and stuff.
yeah,
And all they did for 8 hours straight was just went around and hacking freezers because they're like, we don't believe in this. Like,
yeah,
and that's phenomenal because that became content that just went absolute bananas on social because they're like, holy shit, look at Wendy's, this is super cool. And
yeah,
what's the investment in that? Probably a couple of weeks of man-hour times, and that's about it, right? They use Fortnite to become this free medium to push the
yeah,
message out. And they did the same thing with Animal Crossing as well, right? When Animal Crossing was on the precipice of becoming this hottest thing last year, they were one of the first brands that actually went in there, toyed around. They have this great hacking mentality that I
yeah,
love, and I wish that I could work on it a lot more.
yeah, yeah. Awesome. So, pretty interesting. In fact, I was a part of VML when the Wendy's work had happened. And I personally felt I wish I was working out of Kansas instead of Singapore at that point in time, and I was a part of that campaign.
Oh, you and I both, buddy.
So then the second question, and I already see there are a couple of questions which are popping up. So I'll probably just ask one more. But I want you to try and put yourself into into the shoes of the marketing teams or the brand teams, and imagine they are a brand who's been doing advertising over the years, and they've probably done all tried out different forms of media. They are at this stage where they feel that gaming is an opportunity, and probably if they watch this live stream, they would think that, oh yeah, there are more ways than they had earlier imagined. um, on on the basis of whatever you've tried in the past, and the structure or the process that you might follow to create that connection between a brand and some aspect of the gaming culture, what's the first few things that they should be looking at doing, so that over time they can find a meaningful connection between the brand and something in the part of the gaming culture overall?
Yeah. In fact, this probably fills up most of my days actually. Trying to convince people to get into gaming. But I think,
Yeah,
look, it really starts with, or really goes back to what your business goals are. Like, what are you trying to achieve? What are you using this for? I always liken this buzz around gaming to like when social media first became hot shit in 2009, right?
yeah,
When Facebook first launched their brand pages, that's where everyone started paying attention to social media, and everyone's like, "What's this? I don't know what to do." Like, you get flamed if you do this, right?
yeah,
So I see a lot of similarities, and it's a testament to how long I've been in this industry, which is a scary thing. But it really does go back to your objective. Like, what are you trying to do, right? Like I said, I think gaming has that flexibility and scale. So if your objective is to just push my brand out as many times as possible in as many places as possible, so I'm always there where people are, gaming offers you that. Great. But that would involve obviously a high level of media investment.
right,
However, if you want to build something like brand equity, you want to build love, that's where you have to be really careful and strategic about the opportunities that you want, because you're
yeah,
essentially placing big bets, right?
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
I'm gonna hedge all my bets on this,
yeah,
right? And it's gonna work out stellar, it's gonna do marvelous things for my brand. And then obviously there's a lot of stuff that happens on the back end as well, which is, we've developed a bunch of tools that actually accesses based on a brand's objective, values, what the things they hope to achieve, and map it across different types of games that they should be in, right? So a client comes to me, is like, I want to be in Fortnite. It's like, you don't have to. There are
yeah,
other types of games that are still being played by millions and millions of people that you get to explore.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, recently I heard about Roblox, and and then I realized how big Roblox actually is, and
Mhm.
they are being valued at $30 billion, and most of their audience is kids, and absolute kids, like kids in the age group of, like, even say 8 years, 7 years to 10, 12, 14 years kind of an age group. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Are you able to see the questions on your screen? Is there any specific question you want to pick, or should I do that for you?
Whoa, I did not click on that tab. Oh my God. I was on private chat. I was like, oh, that's fine. All right, let's go chronologically first. So as a casual gamer with a busy day job, wanted some tips on how to stay in touch with gaming culture. I think it's great question. I think there's several ways. I'm struggling as well, and this is my bread and butter. But there's so much happening within the world. Usually what I do is set Google alerts to ping me whenever publications like The Verve or TechCrunch or, Kotaku.com has anything interesting. And what's being talked about in the community. I'll go to a place like the subreddit, the gaming subreddit on Reddit, and find out like what's on the hot list. I also pay attention to game releases. So they all kind of follow. They're like movies, right? You have your blockbuster releases, you have your winter releases. Kind of follow that cadence and try to better understand like what's happening. What's about to be dropped, what's interesting, and then kind of follow that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think there's an interesting question from Archie as well. If you want to take that up.
Sure. Brand safety. Oh my God. Yeah. So I think the fact of the matter is first-person shooter games are always going to be like the most popular games everywhere. And I think it's a shame if you turn down an opportunity without giving it a lot more context. I think the best example I can give was the partnership between Coke and Overwatch, right? So the funny thing about Coke is they can't appeal to kids under the age of 12 because that would be a no-no. And obviously they don't want to be associated with anything that has guns with it, right? So Overwatch was a really interesting game because the characters are animated, they're almost cartoon-like. The guns are, I guess, they're not realistic. They're lasers and gravity enhanced stones that you throw at people. It's not real. It's not mimicking real life. But what's also interesting with the game like Overwatch, to give it a lot more context, is the world that it's set in. It's a world where it's optimistic. All its characters are called heroes. And it's also picking different types of moments that a brand like Coke want to show up. So obviously we're not going to show up when someone does a headshot. That's not the kind of brand association we want. But we celebrate the team plays. We celebrate the moments of celebration. We celebrate the optimism, the fun, that uplifting feel that Coke is known for, and find that common thread with the game itself.
Interesting. I see another very interesting question from Ajay. The shining examples of marketing came from Twitch, Fortnite, Animal Crossing, and the likes. And are there any examples that you can think of marketing to more casual gamers? And you may have an example in mind, or you may not. But if you were dealing with an audience for a brand which is primarily maybe casual gamers, then what do you think? How do you think it's different, and how would you probably go about with it?
So do you mean like the games itself, or like
are casual gamers? If the audience is because Fortnite, if I am understanding right, what Ajay has asked is probably something which is for slightly more pro gamers, and I haven't played Fortnite myself, so yeah.
No, I think that's a great question. I think I would caveat to say, like, I think a game like Animal Crossing is actually, I would consider it to be a little bit of a a casual game. I think there's tons of games out there beyond like the usual suspects of like Fortnite, Call of Duty. I think there's Roblox is one. Minecraft is a huge following on the casual gaming side. You have games like Rocket League, which is like cars meet football, totally mind blowing. But yeah, the thing is, it's also an ever-turning engine that keeps churning out new games as well. And they know that the casual gamers are that huge base that will buy into your game. So I'm actually looking forward to a lot more marketing examples tailored towards casual games like Roblox, Rocket League, and the next installation of Animal Crossing whenever that comes out.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a interesting question from Ashwin here. He's asking any pointers for esports startups regarding what channels to target and what type of ads for initial acquisition. So this is a very specific question. You can decide whether you want to take it on or not, or if there's any other question that you see on your screen that you would like to respond to.
I would love to answer Ashwin's question. The thing is, I don't think I have enough experience within that field to actually, don't make it sound like I'm talking around my ass. But it's a great question. It's just that I don't have the experience to tell you about, like, from an acquisition standpoint or retention standpoint, or even the fact of how, running an esports startup. But you're definitely on the right track with regards to esports startup, because, like I said, there's a ton of money being invested in the space. I guess, and it's a little bit of a wild west right now, right? It's, the money's there, and obviously everyone's kind of following it, right? So I think it's about carving, what's unique about your esports startup versus the 10,000 others out there.
Okay, I think we'll take one more question after this, and then we'll probably start wrapping it up. So this comes from Keshav. Hello, Keshav. We need to catch up sometime. But yeah, when determining an objective for the brand's brief, that is if they want to enter the gaming territory, what are some of the things that you keep in mind?
Sorry, I'm just reading. I'm not ignoring.
Take your time.
Yeah, I usually start off with, again, determining. For me, it's always about approaching gaming is like where to play and how to win, right? So going by that formula, right? So determining an objective for a brand's brief. So if, for example, if it's around, like I said, pushing your message out to as many people as possible and blah blah blah, then I would advise that let's look at it from a media perspective and go somewhere like Twitch, for example, where you can go a little bit broad across different genres of games and target it more like how you would target a YouTube ad. If, for example, the objective is about bringing brand affinity and you want to go deeper into culture, because the tricky bit about culture is it gets narrower as it goes down the funnel, right? But if you have a relationship with those people at the lower end of the funnel, that's where the deeper relationship comes about. So, like I said, it's again hedging your bets. Is this a place I want to stake a hole in the ground and say this is how I want to be recognized in the gaming space? Then that's another conversation as well.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take the last question. I think Bryan has posted this question twice.
Hey, Bryan.
On LinkedIn as well as on YouTube. So would you like to respond to this?
So Bryan's a friend. We actually worked on a campaign on Animal Crossing, actually, where
awesome.
So we actually created a. I'm not sure if I'm answering this the right way, but we actually created Cracker Barrel, which is it's a family restaurant here in the United States, and obviously down to they serve good home cooked Southern meals, and their restaurants are amazing. They're situated all across the highways across the United States, and obviously during the pandemic, people can't step into the restaurant, right? And then Bryan, myself, Kristen, part of the creative team, we actually created a Cracker Barrel environment within Animal Crossing. But yeah, sorry, to answer Bryan's point, I think one of the strangest thing that actually I've read about or know is Louis Vuitton and Final Fantasy. So in Japan a couple of years ago, like it's like what, right?
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago in Japan, they actually used the characters from Final Fantasy, right? So leveraging the IP, the characters to become the spokesperson for Louis Vuitton in Japan. So billboards in Tokyo was plastered with Final Fantasy characters being models for Louis Vuitton products.
Wow.
At first glance, I was like, wait, what has Louis Vuitton got to do with Final Fantasy? And then you realize there's a lot of similar values that the brand shares, as well as the characters that they pick to showcase the products as well. So that was really, really interesting. And I was kind of, I guess, to the point about Butterfingers earlier, like there was so much more that they could have done with Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Leveraging the IP and its beloved, right? Than just unlocking trivial content like wallpapers and skins.
Yeah.
So yeah, Brian, I hope I answered that.
Okay. So thanks a ton, buddy. I think we've covered most of the questions, and we're also pretty much close to the end. So thank you for taking the time. It's pretty late out there, so hopefully I'm expecting you'll hit the bed, or are you going to?
Probably one more of this, but yeah.
Awesome. So in case someone wants to reach out to you, Sashi, what are, would you like to share your details? What's the best way for someone who wants to speak to you and reach out to you or read about you or things
Yeah,
like
of course. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's Sashi Nair. I'm probably the only bald Sashi Nair on LinkedIn, I'm guessing. I don't know. Or you can visit my website and drop me a note on sashinair.com, and then I'll get in touch with you.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, and thanks to
buddy. This was fun.
Yeah, and thanks to all the viewers. I think we had signups from over 25 different countries. I'm sure not everyone, like Sashi, wanted to accommodate this time, especially so that we can, we can make it easy for people across multiple geographies to watch. But it's probably impossible. So you can watch the recording later on LinkedIn. You can watch the recording on YouTube. If you happen to visit the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to my channel. There are lots of very good speakers lined up next week and the week after. So I'll be sharing the details on LinkedIn as well as on my YouTube channel as well. So thanks everyone, and thank you, Sashi. It was really wonderful. Thanks a lot
Of
for
course,
sharing.
it's a pleasure. Have a good weekend, everyone. Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.